They were never meant to be found. Not one, not five, not ever. For centuries, the world has whispered about relics of power, sacred objects buried beneath myth, hidden beneath the weight of time itself. Stories passed from one generation to another, distorted, forgotten, dismissed. But there is one legend that refused to die: the Holy Grails of St. Lucius. Not a single grail, as history would suggest, but many, scattered across the world, hidden deliberately, protected deliberately, because they were never meant to be brought together. Every grail is guarded, not by men, not by time, but by something older, something that remembers. Marcus Hale learned that the hard way. By the time the world found him, he was already running. Through rain, through darkness, through a jungle that felt alive beneath his feet. Branches snapping behind him, something massive tearing through the trees, closing the distance with terrifying certainty. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He already knew whatever was chasing him was not something meant to be seen. Marcus Hale wasn't supposed to survive that night. But survival, as he would come to learn, comes at a cost. And that cost was knowledge. She found him days later, in a place where people went to disappear. Not by chance, and not by coincidence. She had been tracking him, following patterns, tracing movements others couldn't see. Illyra Voss. Sharp. Calculated. Dangerous. She didn't ask questions. She already knew the answers. She placed a photograph in front of him, a grail. Ancient. Real. Impossible to fake. There are more, she said. And something is waking up. That was the moment the search truly began. The first location led Marcus to the mountains, where the air itself felt hostile. The climb was merciless. Ice cut into his hands. Wind tore at his body, and every step forward felt like defiance against something unseen. But the mountain wasn't the real test. The cave was. Inside, the world changed. Sound carried differently. Every breath echoed too far. Every movement felt amplified. It didn't take long to understand the truth. The cave was listening, and it reacted. One wrong step triggered falling ice. One misplaced sound brought death from above. Marcus adapted quickly, removing his boots, slowing his breathing, forcing silence into every movement. But even silence wasn't enough, because something else was already there. Watching, waiting. A figure formed from ice and bone, unmoving, blind, but aware. It didn't see. It listened. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat, loud enough to betray him. Every second stretched, every decision carried weight. When the creature moved, it did so with terrifying precision. He had one chance. A flare struck against stone. A burst of sound. The creature lunged toward it. And Marcus ran. The Grail was real. Heavy, cold, alive in his hands. And the cave collapsed behind him. But the world did not grow safer. It only grew deeper. The second Grail lay beneath the ocean, hidden within a place that should not exist. An island that appeared only during violent storms, rising briefly before vanishing again beneath the sea. Marcus reached it as lightning split the sky, and then he dove. The deeper he descended, the quieter the world became. No wind, no sound, only pressure, only darkness. Until something moved. At first, just a shadow. Then something larger. Then something aware. A massive eye opened in the abyss. Ancient, patient, curious. The Leviathan. It did not rush. It circled, studying him, measuring him, deciding. Marcus forced himself forward, entering the submerged temple as currents pulled unpredictably through its halls. Walls shifted, passages narrowed, air disappeared, and time ran out. The Grail sat at the center, but claiming it meant survival against something that had never lost. The Leviathan struck. The structure collapsed. Water surged. Marcus barely escaped, breaking the surface just as the island disappeared beneath the waves once more. Two Grails recovered, and the world began to respond. The third Grail did not test his body. It tested his mind. High in the mountains, within a monastery untouched by time, Marcus encountered something far more dangerous than any creature. Himself. The moment he stepped inside, reality fractured. Memories returned. Failures. Regrets. The faces of those he could not save. Voices echoed. You left them. You chose yourself. You failed. He dropped to his knees under the weight of it. And then, Lucius appeared. Calm. Unmoving. Watching. You do not seek the Grails, he said. You seek redemption. Marcus resisted. Not with strength, but with will. He stood. He walked forward. And he chose to continue. The illusion shattered. The Grail was his. But the cost had deepened. By the time he reached the fourth, the world itself felt wrong. The valley distorted light. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. Darkness behaved incorrectly. And within that darkness, something lived. They weren't creatures in the traditional sense. They had no form, no mass, only absence. Moving shadows that detached from reality itself. They didn't attack his body. They consumed light. The deeper he went, the less the world existed. His torch flickered. The darkness closed in. And then he saw it. The Grail. Broken. Embedded in stone. As he reached for it, the shadows converged, forming something vast, something towering, something impossible to comprehend. For the first time, Marcus didn't fight. He understood. The Grail was broken because it had been used. He pulled it free, and light returned. But not everything could be recovered, because by then, Alara had made her move. She found him at his weakest, exhausted, injured, barely standing, gun raised, calm, certain. You survive, she said. I collect. She took the Grails and left him behind. No hesitation, no regret. For the first time in the entire journey, Marcus didn't chase. He simply fell. And in that moment of silence, something became clear. The final Grail was never hidden. It was never lost. Because it was never an object. It was a choice. When Marcus reached the final place, there was nothing waiting for him. No temple, no relic, only reflection. And Lucius, you were warned, Lucius said. They must never meet. But they already had. When Marcus returned, the world was unraveling. Alara stood at the center of it, Grails in hand, reality bending around her, time collapsing into itself. She believed she had won, but she didn't understand what she had awakened. Three stood at the edge of everything. One seeking power, one seeking survival, and one who had always known the outcome. Lucius did not move. He did not fight. He simply existed. Because this was never about control. It was about consequence. Marcus stepped forward, not to fight, not to claim power, but to choose. One by one, he released the Grails. And as they vanished, the world began to heal. The fractures closed. The light returned. And silence followed. When it was over, only one truth remained. Some discoveries change the world. Others are taken from it. And some truths choose to remain hidden. The Grails are gone, scattered once more. But the search never ends. Because some things are worth surviving for.